Today I was curious about what the Buddha said about tolerance and intolerance. So I did a little bit of a dive into the suttas to try to get an answer for this. I came across these three suttas that I'm going to kind of quickly go over to try to help show what I found. So um, he's in this, the Kama Sutta. This is out of the Anguttara Nikaya. He talks about four modes of practice. And so you have tolerant, intolerant, self controlled, and even practice. So I think the things that I were most interested in were the tolerant and intolerant. So here we see that the intolerant practice is basically about reacting to things that other people are saying, which is kind of what you would think of, not what you would think of, rather, uh, about intolerance. So when we think about intolerance, we're usually thinking about uh, the person who is doing the insulting or criticizing somebody for a belief or something. So that's intolerance. But in this case, he's really talking about wrong speech. So, like out of the Eightfold Path, we have one of them being right speech. So he's really just highlighting wrong speech as intolerance. And then the opposite is uh, just not responding. So this is really just guarding your I guess guarding the sense door for your ears, but also just not committing wrong speech. Which this kind of goes into the next sutta where I saw tolerance mentioned. So this is tolerant 2 in the Kama Sutta. And we have the same kinds of practice. This is actually the sutta directly numbered after the previous one, and it really follows the same pattern. But here we define intolerant practice a little bit differently. So uh, here we're talking about basically unpleasant sensual experiences, and how intolerance is by basically just not tolerating, which is funny because we're using the same word to define what intolerant practice is. It's not tolerating. But I think really what this is getting at is letting yourself be bothered by these uh, sensual experiences. And then tolerant practice is really just the same sensual experiences, but you're not letting them bother you. So here, this is much more explicitly about guarding your senses, not being unreactive. I recall the story where the Buddha is teaching his son, and the first thing he teaches him is to be like Earth. So the Earth does not react if you uh, uh, insult it or throw things at it or uh, anything you do to it. So uh, that's how the Buddha says that you should also behave. So I thought that was interesting. Again, we're not really talking about tolerance or intolerance as like I am accepting somebody's view or something. It's more I am unreactive to the things that are coming at me. And for the last sutta I saw was the Sotar Sutta, the listener. Um, Here, you wouldn't really think that this is as related. We're talking about five qualities of what makes an elephant worthy to a king. But as you can see, we have the elephant should be a listener, a destroyer, a protector, an endurer, and a goer. And I think the destroyer is the one that we care about here, actually. So here, the elephant's description of a destroyer, not very interesting. But if we go down, we eventually relate these to how a monk should be. So, in the same way, a monk endowed with five qualities is deserving of gifts and hospitality and everything good. And again, it's the same qualities. But so here, the definition of a destroyer is much more interesting. There is a case where a monk does not tolerate an arisen thought of sensuality. He abandons it, destroys it, dispels it, and wipes it out of existence. He does not tolerate an arisen thought of ill will, an arisen thought of harmfulness. He does not tolerate arisen evil, unskillful qualities. He abandons them, destroys them, dispels them, and wipes them out of existence. This is how a monk is a destroyer. So it's a very violent way of phrasing it, but it's a it's a very explicit teaching on what you shouldn't be tolerating. And notice these are all internal qualities um, uh, that you shouldn't be tolerating. Ill will, harmfulness. I'm pretty sure these are all the things that go along with right resolve, the things that you should resolve not to do. um, so, what is the takeaway here? I think, well, it doesn't really get at exactly the kinds of things that I was originally thinking about of tolerance, what happens when people have differing beliefs from you. But I thought it was interesting because it kind of refocuses what your actual action should be. I think the actions that you should take come down to what the Buddha is talking about here, where you should be looking for the negative qualities within yourself and trying to uh, destroy them, basically. I kind of like that very violent act because sometimes that's kind of how it feels you need to be. You need to be intolerant with the negative qualities within yourself. You need to be tolerant of the external things that you perceive, because those are the things that you can't control. But what you can control, what you can be intolerant of, is thoughts of sensuality, ill will, harmfulness, any unskillful qualities. So, anyway, I thought that was an interesting digression today, and hopefully I'll have more for you in the future.